In the golden age of Hindi movies, there were big names. Their music became the heart of the country. One such big name was Khemchand Prakash. His name might not be as famous as the people he helped become stars, but his amazing talent was the base for many legends. He was born in 1907 into a family deeply involved in classical music. He had a rare gift. He understood the feeling of a song and knew how to weave it into a story. His journey into movies was a natural step, a path meant for a man whose heart beat with art. He brought a rich classical feel to popular movie music, creating a sound that felt both old and new at the same time. His first official step into movie music was with the 1939 film Merry Ankheim. Before this, he had worked quietly, his talent just below the surface, helping out without getting credit on films like the 1935 classic Devdas. But once he stepped into the light, his brilliance couldn't be hidden. He quickly became one of the most wanted music makers of his time. He made music for famous films like Tansen, a musical masterpiece that told the story of the legendary court musician. His songs weren't just tunes, they were detailed tapestries of feelings, perfect for the powerful voices of singers like K.L. Saigal, Shamshad Begum, and Noor Jahan. He was a master of his craft, a visionary who saw the future of Indian movie music. The music of Khemchand Prakash had a special quality. It was grand but also very personal. It was based on Indian classical traditions, but easy for everyone to enjoy. Think about his work in Tansen. The songs didn't just go along with the story, they were the story. They showed the passion, the dedication, and the spiritual connection of the main character to his art. This ability to mix music with storytelling was his special mark. He didn't just make hit songs, he created movie experiences that stayed in people's minds for decades. His tunes became a part of India's culture, sung in homes and on streets all over the country. His influence went beyond just his own songs. Khemchand Prakash set a new standard for what movie music could be. He showed that it could be both popular and deeply artistic. He was a bridge between the old world of classical court music and the new, exciting world of cinema. He proved that these two worlds didn't have to be separate. In fact, when brought together by a true artist, they could create something magical and lasting. His work set the stage for future generations of music makers, showing how to mix old traditions with new ideas to create a sound that was uniquely Indian and touched people everywhere. Every great artist can spot talent, a special ability to see the spark of genius in others. Khemchand Prakash was more than just a music maker. He was amazing at finding new talent. He had a special knack for finding voices that would one day define a whole generation of music. Two of the brightest stars in Indian music, Lata Mangeshkar and Kishore Kumar, owe their careers to his vision and his belief in them. He didn't just give them a chance, he saw their special potential when they were still unknown, unproven artists. He heard something in their voices that others had missed, a quality that would eventually charm millions of listeners. His work with Lata Mangeshkar is legendary. He gave her a big break in the 1948 film Ziddi, but it was their work on the 1949 film Mahal that put their names in history. The song Aayega Aane Wala was a huge hit. It was haunting, dreamy, and impossible to forget. The song shot Lata Mangeshkar to huge fame, making her a household name overnight. He knew her voice was special, and he created a song that was perfectly made to show off its heavenly quality. It was a perfect match of a divine voice and a masterfully made song, a moment that changed Hindi film music forever. Similarly, it was Khemchand Prakash who found the raw, hidden talent of a young Kishore Kumar. He gave Kishore his very first song, Mane Ki Duaen Kyun Mangu, also in the film Ziddi. At the time, Kishore wasn't seen as a singer. He was the younger brother of the great actor Ashok Kumar, but Khemchand heard the sadness and depth in his voice. He saw past the playful outside and recognized a singer who could express deep sorrow. This first song was a sad poem, very different from the energetic songs Kishore would later become famous for. It showed that Khemchand understood the full range of his students' potential from the very beginning. There's a wonderful story that Lata Mangeshkar herself used to tell. She remembered first meeting a young Kishore Kumar while they were both on their way to Khemchand Prakash's studio. This small story paints a powerful picture. It puts the master right at the center of this important meeting of talent. He was the sun around which these future stars of the music industry revolved. He was the one who brought these incredible artists together and set them on their paths to greatness. His studio wasn't just a place for recording music. It was a nursery where the legends of tomorrow were cared for and given their first chance to shine. The brightest flames often burn out the fastest. Khemchand Prakash's life showed this truth. At the peak of his creative powers, his journey was sadly cut short. In 1950, he passed away from liver problems at the young age of 42. He didn't even live to see the huge success of his last masterpiece, Mahal. He created the song Aayega Aane Wala, a song about someone coming, but he left before its full impact could arrive. The music world lost a genius, a man who still had so much more to give. His sudden death left a hole that could never truly be filled. After his early passing, a deeper sadness began to unfold. The very industry that he had made rich with his talent turned its back on his family. His wife, Sridevi, and their young daughter, Chandrakala, were left to take care of themselves. In those days, the idea of getting paid royalties for your work didn't exist. A music maker was paid a one-time fee for their work. The songs could go on to earn a lot of money for producers and record companies for decades, but the creator's family wouldn't see a single cent. Khemchand Prakash had created timeless things for the film industry, but his own family was left with nothing but memories. The years that followed were full of great hardship. Without any money help or a system to provide for them, his wife and daughter fell into deep poverty. The creator of some of the most beautiful music in Indian history had left his family in a state of extreme need. The story took a heartbreaking turn decades later when his wife, the widow of a famous music maker, was found begging on a train platform in Mumbai. This shocking news showed the harsh reality faced by many artists' families. It was a moment of shame for an industry that celebrates its stars, but often forgets the people who built that stardom. The difficult situation of Khemchand Prakash's family is a clear reminder of a broken system. How could the man who started the careers of the richest singers in the country leave his own family in such a desperate state? It wasn't because he wasn't successful or talented. It was because there was no protection, no planning for the future, and a deep lack of respect for the creative process. The industry that made a lot of money from his genius failed to provide a safety net for his loved ones. It was a clear and painful example of how artists were treated as things to be used and thrown away, rather than as valued creators whose legacy deserved to be honored and protected. The heartbreaking story of Khemchand Prakash's family didn't end in sadness. It became a reason for change. It became a powerful symbol in the long and difficult fight for the rights of creators in India. When I stood in the Rajya Sabha, Indian Parliament, to argue for the Copyright Amendment Bill, his story was on my mind. I shared the painful truth of his wife being found begging. I explained that if a fair system for royalties had been in place, just one of his songs, like Aayega Aane Wala, could have given his family a life with dignity. His tragedy became a moral guide for the fight for justice. The main problem was that there was no system to make sure creators got a share of the money their work made over time. For too long, lyricists and music makers were denied royalties, the money that keeps artists going in other parts of the world. The argument was simple. If a song is played for 50 years, the person who wrote it and the person who made the music should benefit for 50 years. The fight wasn't just about money, it was about respect. It was about recognizing that making a song is a creative act that deserves ongoing payment. Khemchand Prakash's story made this idea painfully real. This long struggle has finally started to show results. The efforts, pushed by stories like his, led to important changes in copyright law. Today, thanks to these changes, organizations like the Indian Performing Rights Society can collect and give out royalties to music creators. In a historic moment for Indian music, IPRS recently announced a huge payment of royalties, making sure that creators and their families get their rightful share. This is a huge shift. It's the start of a new time where creators are no longer left to the whims of the industry, but are protected by the law of the land. Khemchand Prakash's legacy, then, is two-sided. He is remembered as a musical visionary who gave us unforgettable tunes and legendary artists. But he is also remembered as a symbol of how vulnerable artists can be. His life story teaches us a vital lesson. We must not only celebrate art, but we must also protect the artists who create it. We must build a system that ensures no creator's family ever has to face the shame that his family went through. By securing the rights of today's artists, we honor the memory of masters like Khemchand Prakash and make sure their silent struggles were not for nothing.